We're about to find out why on a Nakamura Tomy WT150 second generation here at ETG they've installed a gantry loader. So Paul, why go for this type of automated solution?
I think the first point I'd like to pick up on is that the Engineering Technology Group have been selling the WT or the Nakamura range for many years.
Yes.
And they've told us today how now it's becoming more and more common for them to actually sell these machines with this type of gantry loading solution on it, to the point where they're bringing these in stock, which this machine is here. So that's the first point. The reason for the gantry loading is to keep the machine running, keep both of these spindles that you see here, front spindle and back spindle, because you've got the two turrets, you can service either or to keep that machine cutting permanently. With other automation systems, you may have robots that have to intervene and the doors open to go in and take parts off. With this, it happens all behind this closed door, which means it's far faster and what some would say is a lot more productive.
I kind of like the idea that the whole machine looks after itself. That's the difference. The doors are shut, everything's going on. So if you had like a robot arm, for example, doors have got to open, parts have got to come out, it's all contained.
And if you've got a serious quantity of parts, that could mean a lot of downtime. Now here, this is where it kind of all starts, and this is your stacking system here, and it's important to stress that these can be in various sizes to hold different sizes and weights of parts, but this is where the billet starts and this is where it finishes when the finished component is machined as well.
Show us the journey of a part then.
Okay, so you would stack this with your raw billets, and depending on, as I said earlier, the size of them would depend on how many, or would mean how many parts that you can actually get in this stacker. The stacker would then be picked, or the part would be picked up by the gantry, and the gantry would then take the component or the raw billet through into the machine here, and it would feed the main spindle. That is where the first machining operation would essentially happen.
And what's quite interesting about this setup is the crossover of the machining. You're working with the left and the right spindle, and it's all about the speed.
It is, and basically once that part is finished machined there, it's transferred across to the sub-spindle, and then the sub-spindle, the second operation is then machined on the sub-spindle, and then what will happen is the gantry will then pick the finished part out, it will take it out, and this is the fastest gantry in the world. It will then bring it across and it will drop it back into the stacker system. So that is where your billet starts, and that's where your finished component ends.
And you can imagine if it was a robotic arm, opening the doors, bringing that part out is going to take time. Because it's all self-contained, they can make a part like this, and I think, what is it, down to 4 seconds or something in terms of the gantry dropping in and out? So
it's 8 seconds is what they'd class as the only downtime between changing from part to part. So that's really minimal. You can't get to achieve less downtime than that. I don't know how many other machines there are in the market that can, because that is really quick. What's really impressive about this part is it illustrates the sophistication of the machine tool as well. So it's all right us talking about the gantry, the stacking system, the feeding of the component and the taking out of the component, but how about the actual machine's capability when you're in there? And that's exactly what I've picked up on or spoken about today on a couple of videos. The WT150 second generation has 2 turrets. You can have it with a Y-axis on the bottom and the top. You've got 48 tools, you've got 24 indexing positions on the bottom and the top. You've got 2 spindles. Either turret can work on either spindle. So to produce a part like this, which I believe previously a customer was taking somewhere around 90 minutes, including handling time off the machine, right the way down to, is it less than 6 to complete it in one or complete it in one hit.
And this is what ETG do. They work with their partners like Paul Horn with the tooling and the broaching. It's a whole solution provider. They work with people to get the best solution.
And that's really the interesting part on this. This broaching operation here, which creates this gear form, is done on this machine using this tool here. And you need a machine with some stability to be able, because it's not a free cutting state when you're kind of broaching, you're digging into the material and pushing the material.
Down the splines. And
then you've got to get the surface finish, you've got to get the tolerance, you've got to get all of the things that are really important with gears, because anyone can make a gear, but you know what a gear mechanism looks like, so you know what you need to achieve.
Tolerances, reducing grinding operations as well.
All of that on this particular solution. And I think where we started this about this machine being here available from stock, as you walk around this showroom, you'll see a lot of their Nakamura machines and other machines they have are all equipped with either in feeds, out feeds. There's the new solution they've got on the, I think it's the SC 100 or the which you know
The
the name of,
Hackaby, yeah.
the Hackaby. So it's all about getting the raw billet into a finished part without doing what you're doing now, handling it.
Okay, so it's all about speed as well.
Speed, reduction of downtime, less air cutting time, all metal removal as quickly as possible, as reliably as possible, making as complex a part as you can without handling time again.